G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Caitlin. I'm an American writer living in beautiful Sydney, Australia. And it's been a little while since I think we've just done a general Q&A, catch up, life update, just sort of chill video. And I want to start out with an unboxing, unpackaging. I got a packaging from Melissa in Bonnyrigg, New South Wales. I don't know if I've ever heard of Bonnyrigg before. But how cute is the packaging on this, you guys? It's all koalas and just Australian wildlife and flora, fauna. I love it. This is so cute, Melissa. Thank you so much. The packaging in this is just, I absolutely adore this. This is so cute. But anyway, I want to do a little bit of an unboxing, a little bit of a Q&A with you guys. So grab a picky, grab a cuppa, and let's get right into this really chill video. So I did snip a little bit. I don't know why I felt like something might be broken or something when this came through. Something was moving in it a little bit weird, like broken, I don't know, cup or something. So I did do a little bit of a snip and didn't see anything broken. So I did a tiny little bit of a sneak peek, you guys, but for the most part, I just opened this up. I did see this when I did a little sneak peek. How cute is this? Rockly speckled Easter eggs. Easter eggs are huge over here in Australia. I did not realize that until I first moved over here. Easter's kind of a big thing in the US, but I feel like we go from Valentine's Day, which is huge, then St. Patty's Day, which is huge, then Easter, which is huge, and then we have Memorial Day coming up over in the States. So I think Easter gets kind of lost in the shuffle. In Australia, Easter is huge, and Easter eggs are so incredibly popular. And I've never had these before. Rocky Lee Road speckled Easter eggs, handcrafted in Australia by Darug Nation. Thank you. I cannot wait to give these a try. You guys know I have the worst sweet tooth ever. We got a card. I love cards. I'm cheesy. I'm always the person who absolutely loves reading cards more than getting presents. Yeah, so that's a little something about me you guys probably didn't know. I absolutely love cards. And Caitlin, sorry this has taken so long to send. Melissa, please, no, don't worry about it. Life happened. Unfortunately, I picked up a few items after watching your PR rejection video. Your tears broke my heart. I'm sorry, guys. I know that one was probably tough for you guys to watch. Please know how loved you are by your Aussie fam. Hopefully the government will sort that out soon. A couple of things for your display shelves and a little Easter treat for your sweet tooth. Keep being you. Oz loves you, Melissa. Melissa, thank you. That's such a sweet card, and I feel like so many of you guys gave me the sweetest sentiments after that PR rejection denial video. It was so sweet and so touching to see how many of you guys actually care about me and my journey and everything that's been going on and what it's been like moving over here. Just having so many people care that much, even people who I've never actually met before, is just, it's so humbling and overwhelming. But anyway, I will touch on that in a minute, otherwise I will go on a huge tangent and this video will be much longer than I wanted it to be. Okay, I think this was the thing I was worried was broken, but it feels pretty sturdy. I don't think anything is broken. From Fumare, pineapple and mango. So really, really cute candle. And I could smell it already. It smells so incredibly good. This smells like summer. Even with the lid closed, I could still smell a little bit of it coming out. It smells so, so good. I'll put that over here for now. At some point, I'm going to clean and dust these off and do a reorganization, and I'll actually, I don't know if it'll be on the Kind of Australian channel or over on my writing channel, because there's a lot more books and stuff like that on here, but I will do some sort of bookshelf video at some point to really give you guys an insight as to what's back here. I'm trying to be a little bit careful opening this. Obviously, I see a rainbow lorikeet. There's a little bit of tape. Just trying to be careful because I think this one's pretty fragile. Oh my god. How cute. Okay, I'll take this off the little guy. Guys, how cute is this? It's a little hanging rainbow lorikeet. Oh my gosh. I love it. Hold on. Where's my phone? I gotta film this. So I just unboxed the rainbow lorikeet. This is my cat staring at it. Pardon the kind of dirty cat tree. No matter what I do, I cannot seem to get that clean. I swear they shed so much. But yeah, he was just staring at this thing like crazy. But oh my gosh, I love that. I need to figure out a way to hang it. I think it should be, like, I don't think it's too heavy that a command strip won't work. I could figure out some way to hang this, but thank you so much, guys. That is so cute. I've never seen anything like that before. I will need to figure out somewhere to put this. I don't know how. I will figure it out. Just gently put it back there for now, like still bubble wrap to make sure everything is okay with it so nothing gets damaged. But Melissa, thank you so much. That is so kind and so sweet of you. Like, whenever you guys send me anything, it absolutely blows my mind just how thoughtful and kind and creative you guys are. You guys just send me some of the most absolute sweetest things, and it touches my heart every single time. Thank you so much. So over on my community page on YouTube, I had asked you guys to send me some questions, just whatever questions come to mind, anything you want me to answer, anything you want an update on. And you guys came at me with some of the most interesting questions on here, so let's get right into this. And they're not in any particular order. I don't know why YouTube is like showing me them in random like time orders and like orders. I don't know, but we're gonna go through it in the list that it's giving me. So from RC Hacker 99, give us a breakdown of your perception of Australia's social cliques. So I know I'm coming at this from a very limited perspective. You guys know I've only been here a little over 2 years, about 2.5 years now, and I've only ever lived in Western Sydney, which is a very small part of New South Wales, which is one state in the entire country. So I cannot speak towards all of Australia when it comes to social cliques. But I've said this in videos before, Aussies are very friendly, but they're not necessarily your friends, meaning that Aussies will be very friendly, polite, kind up front, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they consider you a friend of theirs. It does take a long time to sort of build up that trust relationship with Aussies here. Like, I don't think it's much of a coincidence that my best friend since moving over here is actually American. Not that I haven't reached out to Aussies, not that I'm not friends with Aussies. I think it's just very easy for people to stay in the social cliques that they've known probably since like middle school, high school age. I feel like no matter where you live, it's tougher to make friends as an adult, but in Australia it is really hard. It takes a long time. You have to put yourself out there and you have to be vulnerable. You have to be kind of persistent when it comes to making friends here. But again, I also live somewhere that's very close to a city, close to the biggest city here with the highest number of immigrants and people who move around on these temporary visas. So it could be different in other places in the country. I can only go off of my own experience. From GS Smith 8098, what single thing has Australian lifestyle changed in you the most? It's tough to say because I don't know if this is just because I've reached my 30s since moving over here or if it's an Australian lifestyle, Aussie thing in general, but my bullshit meter, guys, I have no time for it. I have no patience anymore. I can tell when you're bullshitting me and I do not want to deal with it. Even in the comments, like, I can kind of see when people are trolling and see when people are like seriously asking something. You can kind of get a little bit of a tone. But like if I know someone's just bullshitting me in the comments, I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to deal with it. Same thing here, even professionally. Like, it's tough when you work in like a corporate sort of setting because corporate settings are designed on bullshit. So sometimes you just have to sit there and sort of bite your tongue and not say anything and deal with it. But I feel like my tolerance for it has dramatically plummeted since moving over to Australia. So that's probably one thing, and I can't quite tell if it's the Australian lifestyle part or if it's just the getting older now in my 30s and don't have the time to deal with it. From TGirl009, have you ever been to the Sydney Writers Festival? Are you attending this year? And if so, you may consider vlogging about it a bit. No. So it's one of the perks of actually being friends with a lot of writers in the area is a lot of them have attended these festivals, a lot of them have the inside information, and the Writers Festival is really more of a readers festival. And the readers are more literary and academic. There's not much genre fiction. And the little genre fiction is there, it's practically no romance. So the people who read my kind of books aren't going to be there, the people who write my kind of books aren't going to be there. And I think you actually have to pay to register. I could be wrong about the paying part, but for me, it's not going to be worth it. I'm not going to spend a weekend supporting that. I feel like if you're going to call it a writers festival, you should be inclusive of all genres, including the highest selling genre market in the world. Just saying. So no, I would actually love to be able to get to Adelaide this year for the Romance Writers of Australia conference, but it's pricey. Like, I think the registration alone is like $850 for the entire weekend, plus then you have flights, which, like, flights to Adelaide and back are kind of reasonable, But the hotel, ooh, the place they're having the conference at, that's going to be like easily $2,000 for the long weekend stay. And with Mark being out of work for right now, that is not in our budget. So from right to left, 8328, would you say in daily life things like niceties, politeness, and civility are more common in Australia or the US, or at least Sydney versus Northeast US? I feel like it's not a country thing. I feel like it depends on how big of a city you're in and how touristy your city is. Because I feel like when it comes to niceties and politeness, there might be a little bit more of that in the touristy spots in Sydney than places like, say, New York or Philly. Philly is actually known as being like the rudest city in America, which is lovely to know that that's what my hometown's known for, at least one of the things. But I feel like the farther you go away from the cities, it's pretty comparable, actually. Like, Americans, for the most part, are still polite, they're friendly, they're outgoing, they're going to be kind. And Aussies are the exact same way, but you need to get away from the cities in both countries to experience that. Because I've dealt with some very rude people around the CBD and the touristy spots of Sydney. I remember dealing with some rude people in the touristy spots in Melbourne as well. But again, also had the same experience in New York and a couple of other places that I've traveled to around the States. And again, I come from the place that is considered the rudest city in America. So what does that tell you? From ATNQ6CU, okay. Did you watch Noel Phillips's video from the weekend traveling on a train for 4 days from Sydney to Perth? I think that came up on my homepage, but I didn't watch it. I might at some point. I might do a reaction to that. I think it was also new, and I try not to jump on like the new videos. I kind of want them to at least have a minimum of a week to kind of run their course through the algorithm and really get views that way instead of through reaction videos. I feel like that's the polite thing to do as a content creator, which I know some people don't necessarily agree with. That's a whole nother thing. But for me, if I can, I try to wait at least a week before I post a reaction to something. From Shelley Wall, have you and Mark participated in the Christmas motorcycle toy run? I know I haven't. I don't know if Mark has. We've done one charity ride before, but that was in August and it was to support the Starlight Foundation. They do a onesie ride. We were actually supposed to go last year, but something came up, so we weren't able to. So we've only done one charity ride together. And by together, I mean Mark riding and me sitting pillion on his bike. But I don't think Mark's done one of those charity bike rides yet. I actually have to ask. I'm not sure. From Cujo5, are you out of the honeymoon period with regards to Australia? And if so, what country would you prefer to live in, America or Australia? I'm definitely out of the honeymoon period. I gotta be honest. I feel like I've lived here long enough that I'm a lot more critical. I critique things a lot more. I'm a little bit more observant about what's going on around me in a more negative context. Like, I also live here. I'm not vacationing here. I'm not here on a student visa. I'm not here on a backpacker visa. I have one central spot where I stay in my house in Western Sydney. And I feel like I live a little bit more of the average Aussie life than a lot of people who come over here and then start putting like their lifestyle and stuff like that up on YouTube. Like, you guys know, I can be critical of some things in Australia. I've lived here long enough to know that some things in Australia are just poorly thought up or designed or created. You guys have heard me complain about the housing market enough, God knows. So yeah, the honeymoon period with Australia, it's definitely over. Still love Australia, would rather live in Australia than America right now, but doesn't change the fact that the honeymoon period is definitely over. From Wild Wombat, has the recent incidents locally and around Australia questioned your safety and the way you go about your days? Interesting question. I don't want to get too much into what's happened lately. I think you guys know what's happened with the stabbings and everything that's been going on in the Sydney area in the last week at the time I'm filming this. It's been tough in a lot of ways, especially because I've had a few friends and family reach out to me when the first stabbing happened. So I actually touch on this a little bit. I still feel safer in Australia compared to the States. But I did actually make a point of this. I don't know if this video has been released yet or not. If not, I will make sure to release it this Sunday in case it hasn't been released yet. And if it is released, I will link it for you guys. One of the points I make in this video is actually self-defense. And I'm not talking about guns. I'm talking about just general self-defense. And I go much more in depth at that point in that particular video. So if you want to see my thoughts on that, go check that one out. But overall, I do feel safer in Sydney than I did in Philly. And I feel safer in Australia than I did in the States. From Dave C937, how do you compare the prices of everything here to the US? I actually did a video probably about a year ago comparing grocery store prices in America to Australia, and with how bad inflation's been in the last year, I kind of want to redo that video and see how much the cost difference is, and if it's still the case things are cheaper in Australia than in the States. If you guys would be interested in that, let me know in the comments down below. But overall, the prices don't seem too drastically different. You also have to remember you have the conversion rate and things like that to take into consideration. So something that's $7 in Australia would be like $5 in the States. So if you're spending like $7 on a cup of Starbucks in the CBD, it's going to be that $5 to $6 latte in the US anyway. I don't know why I went with coffee. I really want more coffee. I had a double shot like latte this morning and I want more coffee. But anyway, even just a bag of chips. Say you go to the shops and you get a bag of chips and a party-sized bag of Smith's chips is like $5. You go to the States, it's probably going to be like $3.50, $4. The prices are pretty comparable. When you're talking about everyday expenses, things like that, they're relatively similar. Now once you get into the macro level of talking about things like health insurance costs and medical costs and education costs and affordability of buying a house or renting, that is when things become drastically different. But day-to-day cost, things are relatively equal. Petrol might be the only thing that's an exception. Petrol is dramatically more expensive in Australia than it is in the States, at least where I was from in the States. But things like food and whatnot, pretty comparable. From Cyclops92, update on Mark's shoulder, please. So funny enough, at the time I'm filming this, Mark is at his physio appointment. We're hoping this will be his last physio appointment. You know what? Editor Caitlin will update you guys on this one. Editor Caitlin chiming in here. So Mark has been given the clearance to go back to work. Luckily, it looks like he does not need surgery, and he's gone back to work this week as of the time I'm editing this video, which is probably a week or two before this actually goes live on YouTube. But thank you guys for asking about him. He's doing well. And then from Contra Bricks Build Craze 8916. Hope you read this. Sorry if any of my words are hard to read or not. Proper English spelling as your, y'all, you, yo. Do you like hip-hop music or not that into it? Personally, I'm not that into it. I listen to like more rock music. I love like oldies, 50s, 60s music. That's what my grandma used to listen to. And I lived with her for like a good 20 years. She actually moved in with my parents when they were pregnant with my little brother. So by the time I was like 3, 4 maybe, she lived with us. So I grew up on a lot of old school crooners music. My dad loved 70s music, from like disco music to just some really off the wall stuff. My mom loved show tunes. Funny enough, I was the person in my family, like really the only person in my family that listened to any kind of rock, be it like classic rock, alternative, emo, whatever it was. Like nobody in my family listened to that stuff. It's funny because I remember I was 13 and there was a record store in my neighborhood a couple blocks away. And one day out of the blue, I had a little bit of allowance money and I stopped in there. And there's these two, at the time to me, they were older, so 2 guys in their 40s who owned the shop. And they always had music playing, obviously. It's a record store. Dingy little place. I mean, the absolute like pit of a place that it was just loaded from top to bottom with like CDs and records. And at the time they also sold and exchanged a couple like VHSs and DVDs. Now, mind you guys, it was like 2004. But I remember spending like an entire summer in their shop basically just hanging out and listening to music and learning classic rock. Like that was, I think they were just excited to have somebody in the shop because it was a very, very slow business at that time. I mean, this is when like iPods were becoming a thing and Apple Music and whatnot. So people weren't really buying records. Like, okay, records maybe a little bit, but people weren't really buying CDs. Obviously nobody was buying VHSs anymore. DVDs were slowly starting to fade out. I think Blu-ray had either just become a thing or was about to become a thing. So yeah, I basically learned a little bit about rock and classic rock from a couple of old guys in my neighborhood. It was an interesting time. That's how I learned like any bit of like classic rock music. And then I started listening to the radio station in Philly, WMMR. It's kind of started to become a little bit more of a crap station since, because they've let a few really, really good DJs go. But that was kind of where I got my music taste from when I was in my teens. So I don't really listen to a lot of hip hop. I tend to listen to the stuff that I grew up with. I listen to some newer stuff. couple random songs on TikTok will pop up that I absolutely love and then just add to my Spotify playlist. But yeah, that's really it. So yeah, that's it for this little Q&A, chill, chit-chat, life update video, you guys. Anywho, if you guys like this video, please like, subscribe, comment. I would love to get this channel to 15,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and you guys know I cannot do that without your help. So every little subscription, every like, every comment really does help me. So that's it for this video, you guys, and I will see you all in my next one.